Welcome to Retirement, your third act, the podcast for those navigating the transition from work to what comes next. Whether you're planning for retirement or already there, you're not alone. This is a time of change, excitement, and sometimes uncertainty, but it's also a time of opportunity. Hosted by Peter Watts, this podcast brings you real stories from people on the same journey, sharing their challenges, successes, and lessons learned. So, sit back, listen in, and find reassurance, inspiration, and ideas for your own third act. So let's get started. Over to your host, Peter.
Okay, so welcome back to Retirement, Your Third Act, the podcast where we explore life's big transitions and what it really means to reinvent ourselves. Now, most of us will think about retirement in a fairly traditional way. You work for 40 years in one job, you step back at 65, maybe take on a part-time role, and then you eventually fully retire. And that's the pattern that most of us expect. But there are careers where the pattern simply doesn't fit. And footballers, for example, are one. They live a very different story. From the outside, it looks glamorous, the fame, the stadiums, the big moments. But the truth is, a professional football career may last 10 to 20 years. And then often still in your 20s or 30s, players are having to reinvent themselves, sometimes more than once. That really struck a chord with me. And I can remember back when I was 34, after 12 years being in the same financial services company, I was made redundant. And I wasn't expected, and it changed the direction of my life and my family's forever. It was my own early taste of what it feels like when one stage of your life suddenly ends and another begins. Now, usually on this podcast, I talk about life in acts. So Act 1, Act 2, and then we move into Act 3, our later life. But today I want to shift the language. Instead of acts, let's call them stages, because stages feel more universal. And for footballers, those stages come earlier, much earlier, and sometimes twice in the middle of their careers. Which brings me to my guest today. Some of you will know him well, others may not. Steven Caulker is a footballer whose career highlights speak for themselves. He grew up in West London, joined Tottenham at 15 after early rejections, and just 5 years later he was scoring in his England debut. He played for Premier League sides, including Spurs, Swansea, Cardiff, QPR, Southampton and Liverpool, even featuring under Jurgen Klopp. His career then took him abroad, playing for Turkey, Scotland, Spain, and now in Iceland, and he's captained Sierra Leone at international level. On top of that, he's also founded Behind the White Lines, an academy helping young players transition into life beyond football. So Steven is someone who has already lived through multiple stages of life, and he's still shaping the ones to come. And I'm delighted he's here with me today to share his journey and what we can all learn from it. So Steven, welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here, Pete.
Thanks. So look, Steven, I doubt very much you would have watched any of my previous episodes, but I normally chuck in a what three words question right at the start for people to summarise their third act. So looking back at your life so far, what three words or even a quote sum up your journey?
I'll give you a quote: down but never out. So
down but never out, like that.
Down but never out is something that's quite personal to me. I've had a lot of downs in my life. I've suffered a lot with several mental health issues, and when I'm at my lowest, I always remember that quote, that as low as I can be, and I every time I hit a rock bottom, I think this is as low as I can go, but I somehow seem to find a new rock bottom which takes me that little bit lower. That reminder that I may be down but I'm never out is a really good one to use. And in those moments where I may be struggling, it's a moment to remind myself that I'm strong enough to deal with whatever life has to throw at me.
Yeah, that's really powerful, really, really powerful. And I've never heard that, but I love that. Funny enough, I've had to use a quote of my own for the last couple of days with two different people. And one that I've used is, I think it's Tom Hanks that said it on a little short snippet, which is "This shall pass too." And for me, it's like, when things are really, really tough and bad, time will heal and we'll be able to get stronger eventually. And if things are going really well, that shall pass too as well. But that down but never out, that's really, really good and really interesting. And maybe something we'll pick up on as we have a chat. So thanks ever so much for that. And I hope you never have to use it again in the nicest of ways in your future. But I'm sure, as we all know, that life does throw us curveballs and can punch pretty hard from time to time. So yeah, hopefully you won't have to use it that many times in the future. But look, I just want to we're going to start off by taking you back to the early stage of your career, and I'd love you just to talk about growing up in West London. I think it was Feltham, and really for you to talk about when football started to feel more than just a game, I suppose. Many of us play it, kicking a ball against the wall in the street. 3 goals and in was the one that we used to do, and jumpers as goalposts. But for me, I'd love to get an understanding of where you were in your life, what you were doing, and then when all of a sudden kind of that spark happened for you.
So jumpers as a goalpost is and will always be my favorite time playing football. I absolutely loved it, and I still love to go and have a kick around with my friends at the park, play 5-a-side, get loads of touches on the ball, no pressure. It's the best football, and I enjoyed playing that standard of football. You know, it's Sunday league, school football, just playing with my mates at the park for many years. I mean, I started playing football probably from the age of 7, and as I said, I had a lot of fun in those early years playing football. Around 12, 13 is when I guess you could say people were starting to recognise that I may have something.
Right.
And I was then scouted by Reading. Reading took me in on a ever so long trial. I was there for months and months, and
Oh, really?
it was really interesting because I could play really well on a Sunday, so the Sunday league, where I felt comfortable with my mates, and then I'd go to Reading on the Monday for training, and I was like a different player. I would just crumble under the pressure.
Really?
So
Oh, okay. Wow.
it just got to me. I was there. I was wearing a different kit. They all knew each other. They were talking about the game that they'd all played in on the Saturday and how well this person had done and that person had done. And I felt the odd one out, and I didn't feel comfortable for a long period of time there. So that trial ended when I just decided to just walk away. I had been there for months, hadn't really got any feedback, and just decided to walk away.
Right, okay.
I then got offered other trials at later stages with Chelsea, Brentford, QPR. I'd been around. I've been to a lot of teams, but I'd say at the age of 14, 15 was when I started to think, okay, I could become a pro here. You know, I was watching Brentford as I grew up in West London. So I was watching Brentford. Lloyd Owusu was my favourite, who's also played for Yeovil. He was my favourite. He was the one who always scored the goals. And I'd leave Griffin Park a happy man walking home from the game. And that was when I started to dream and believe it was possible for me to get to that stage. And it was at 15 that I then got the opportunity to join Tottenham. And the trial went well. It went well. I actually brought the wrong boots. I brought metal studs, and I needed and I needed molds because we were training in some new indoor facility that I obviously wasn't used to at Sunday league level. I had to borrow one of the coach's boots. And that coach turned out to be the head of academy.
That would have been huge, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Huge.
Straight away, I would imagine you'd be thinking, I'm out here. If I can't even bring the right pair of boots, then I'm out.
I'm in trouble. Exactly. But you know what I did? That alleviated the pressure because I felt I've got nothing to lose now. You know, I've got my boots. So
freedom, right? Play with freedom. Well, let's just
play with freedom. Exactly that. And because of that freedom, I was able to actually showcase my true ability. And I was signed then and there, and it was amazing. Literally, I've been in the door for 2 sessions, and that was that. So
how
I was
different.
Signed. How different to the 6 months at Reading, the weeks at Brentford, and so on and so on. So that was that. I was signed, and I then started that journey. And then, of course, when you're signed by Tottenham at the age of 15, you're wearing the club tracksuit. I'm going into train with in and around the first. It wasn't quite training with him at that point, but I was around him. I was believing. I wanted a taste of this. This was possible now.
Nice. Do you mind just being a kind of football dad myself, boys playing football and rugby as well. My middle boy plays rugby, but I'm always kind of up and down the M3, A303, M5 kind of corridor going to different games, especially with Blake now. So Reading's a long way from Feltham, isn't it? So that would have taken a big amount of energy from family and from friends to get you there. Was it just kind of like, here you go, you're invited, and the expectation was family are to get you there?
Yeah, it's a really good point. And my family sacrificed a lot, and not just my parents in terms of, obviously they're the ones who had the driving license who were able to take me, but also, my younger brother and my older sister who sacrificed their time, because my younger brother would often be sat in a car for 2 hours while I'm out there training. My sister would, at times have to babysit if he's staying at home, or she'd have to make her own dinner and so on and so on. So the whole family had to sacrifice in order for me to get those opportunities, and for that I'll forever be grateful. I'm super close to my family, and that's always something I remain grateful for. No matter where I am on my journey, it all started from there. And it all started from them, taking you to Sunday League, taking you to all these games. And there was a time actually at Tottenham I would get the train. It was actually easier. For anyone listening who knows the M25, the M25 going from West London to North London, exactly. It just doesn't move. So the easiest way for me to get after school was the train. But they would always then come and pick me up, and so I would always remain grateful for that. And it's interesting. You said that you're a football dad yourself, so you know the journey, and you know how much of a sacrifice it is just for everybody.
Yeah, I was talking to funny enough, Lucy, my practice manager, about it at the week, literally on Monday in a business meeting, where her son is literally, I think he must be like 4. Sorry, Lucy, I can't remember exactly how old he is. So he's going to like football tots, doing maybe 4 or 5. And so I didn't realise how much time it takes up of a weekend. And I'm like, that's now your life for maybe 18, could be plus years now. Do you realise that? Or maybe not that length of time, because when they get 17, they drive themselves. But, the whole weekend is taking them there, making sure they've got stuff. It's picking them up after they've lost, or, and trying to get them back down off the ceiling when they're high because they've had a fantastic result. So, good luck to all the parents out there that are travelling around with the kids, that's for sure. But it's nice to hear that obviously they were an integral part of you achieving where you got to, and they're probably relieved that it was Tottenham and not somewhere more further afield.
Exactly that. It made it easier. The train route was fairly simple, and it was a good club. I actually admittedly grew up an Arsenal fan, so Brentford was my local team.
We're gonna have to end it here. I'm really sorry. I'm a Spurs fan, so we're gonna have to end it.
Bro, but I come to that point, right? I'll explain. I grew up watching Thierry Henry, right? Only on the television. Was never able to go and watch that sort of golden era of Arsenal. But I grew up watching them, and I couldn't help but admire just the quality that they had. And then obviously got signed by Tottenham. And I was like, okay, this is a little bit strange, because I've always kind of supported Arsenal. And I would say after a week, that just completely left me. And I was like, I'm a Tottenham fan. Tottenham, the ones give me the opportunity.
Wow, okay.
Tottenham is where I'm at, and it's still to this day, I'm always rooting for Tottenham. It's my club, right? They're the ones where I played for England whilst being at Tottenham. I got my opportunities through Spurs, so I'll always remain grateful to the club.
Do you mind me asking, do footballers share who they support as a child? Do they share that? Do you know what I mean? Do you see? I'm going to sit around the change room. Is there that kind of unwritten rule you never tell anybody actually who you did support?
They do, because I feel we all share what team we support, or what team we supported, I should say, because it's usually past tense most of the time. Because I'll just talk for myself. Once I became a professional and I saw that the game isn't exactly what I dreamed of, there's a lot of politics that go on in the game. It is a business, ultimately. It's a business, and it's a business with a lot of money in. So wherever there's a lot of money, there's a lot of interest that need to be made, and there's a lot of people that want to be involved, and so on and so on. Once I saw that side to football, I fell out of love a little bit from the fan side, because I saw that actually players who you might think are the best, but why is he not playing? Why is she not playing? Actually, there could be a reason for that, and that could be a political reason. you know.
I hear
So
that.
once I kind of saw that side of it, I pulled away a little bit. But I'm happy to say that I've kind of done a full circle and I'm back now enjoying it more as a fan. Now I'm sort of away from the Premier League, been away for some time. Now I'm back
Yeah.
enjoying it as a fan.
I love hearing that. That's brilliant. You got your enjoyment back to some extent. That's really good. The I was going to move on to kind of the professional stage, I suppose, and your career highs and also the challenges that you faced along the way. But I just wanted to, again, something that resonated with me and thinking about this is all going to be about kind of Blake's kind of story to some extent. But I've seen the same in Blake at a young age where he got picked up with Southampton Academy, and it blow everybody away on the pitch on a Sunday, and then go there for training. Again, they're a group of players that are training all the time on their own. He goes down, he's on his own, he's isolated, doesn't know anybody, no one puts the arm around him. And he's most definitely a confidence player where I think we all are to some extent as well. Someone tells you you're doing a good job, you kind of, here we go, and I'm going to go again. Where if someone's shouting and hollering at you, saying you're not doing, this is me giving you coaching tips now, the way, Stephen. Yeah. But you've
Carry
got,
on. I've got a pen handy. Carry on.
Yeah. But it's interesting actually, and it's so nice to hear that and I think other people that might be listening to that need to hear this, is that, although it might not work out when you, apologies, I forget what age you might have been at Reading, but maybe 12, 13, 14 or something,
Yeah.
but you didn't give up. And maybe your parents would have been going, is this for him? Is he really going to make it? Actually, we just support him as much as we can. And then all of a sudden that kind of something happened, like you say, within 2 weeks you were signed, compared to your previous experience. And I just wonder if it was that maybe down to maturity. You'd been, I know what it's down to, is you forgetting your boots, I suppose, and you having that confidence, but sometimes it kind of needs that. So I just wanted to highlight that, because that's what I heard from there is, don't give up. Goes back to your saying, doesn't it? I suppose, in a way.
Down but never out. Exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with a lot of young players today, and I share my experiences and my experiences of playing professional now for 17 seasons, plus all those years trialing when I was younger, is that every coach has their own opinion. And I think it's important for players, especially young players, to remember that, because it's hard sometimes not to take things personally. And now with my coaching hat on, I can sit there and tell you every decision I make here in Iceland, it's for the best of the team, or what I believe to be for the best of the team at that time. I'm human. I make mistakes. Nothing is personal, but I think it's really important how we communicate that with the players. And I feel that there's been times, of course, where I've worked with coaches who are fantastic at putting their arm around you and giving you all the love in the world whilst dropping you, but you still feel the love and support and belief. But then there's others that won't say a word. You turn up into the changing room and I won't name names right now, but there was a manager in the Premier League where we used to turn up to the games and you'd have the first 11 shirts laid out, which meant you were in the starting 11 if your name was in there. Then you'd have, I think it was 5 back then that were on the bench. So then if you were in that 5, you're on the bench. And if your name is not up, you're out of the squad. So that was how you found out whether you were A, in the 11, B, on the bench, or C, out the squad. There was no conversation had, and players had to just deal with that. You were just meant to deal with it.
That's quite raw. Yeah.
It is, and it's pretty ruthless, but everyone has a different approach. So, trying to second guess what that coach may have thought would be the best way to do it is to prepare everyone as if they're going to play. That way, those who aren't playing are not going to be upset. They're not going to be disappointed. They're not going to be bringing any negative energy. The day before or 2 days before and stuff. So that might be what, I don't know. You'd have to get that coach here to explain it. But it's part of, I guess, what my point is different coaches have different approaches. Different coaches have different approaches. They all have their own way of doing things. And it's hard, especially while you're young, not to take things personally.
I hear that, and others will hear that as well. And you're right. Sometimes it's just trying to understand why they might be doing it, and not justification, but then it helps you deal with it yourself to some extent, doesn't it? But you need maturity for that, don't you? And like you said, all those numbers of over almost 2 decades of Premiership or professional football, and has kind of taught you that, hasn't it? But at a very young age, if you're kind of not getting the cold shoulder treatment, but no comms, it can be quite hard to swallow, I suppose, because you just don't understand why that would be, do you? But look, let's not dwell on that, because I want to kind of jump into being a Spurs fan. And look, there's a big Liverpool following, as you know, in and around the Yeovil area that I live, and you being and playing for Yeovil. So I've got a kind of a couple of fan questions, I suppose. And you know, being a Spurs fan, I looked at some of the players you would have been sharing rooms with, playing on the field with. Bale, Dembele, Lennon, Walker, that was in the 12-13 season. Then we've, I don't know, is Walker still playing? He might still be playing. I don't know if he's on the C list, but.
Yeah, but Carl Walker is at Burnley now, so he's still playing. Obviously, Gareth Bale retired a little bit earlier, but it was a phenomenal team, an absolute phenomenal team. There's a couple of names
to win something.
Deserved to win something, and I believe that year we missed out on the Champions League by 1 point. I think to Arsenal. And going back to the point about how you no longer support a team, there's a good example. Sure. So we're going head to head for the top 4 spot. I'm supporting Tottenham. Believe me, there's no supporting Arsenal at that point. But it was an incredible experience to share the pitch. I mean, you mentioned a lot of big names there and household names, really. Jermain Defoe, Jan Vertonghen, the list goes on.
Yeah. Oh, Van der Vaart. Were you with Van der Vaart as well?
No, as a youngster, he was there. I never played with him, but I trained with him. Same with Modrić. Got to train with Modrić. He was incredible. He was absolutely incredible, and a really quiet and humble guy, and just a magician. An absolute magician. So been fortunate to share the pitch with a lot of good players. But for me, Gareth Bale, for what he did that year, was just sensational. I mean, we finished. I think
he holds the top 2 goals, for in my view, Champions League goals as well. The one where he runs around a player on the outside, cuts and scores. And then the overhead goal against Liverpool, wasn't it? Or something when he come on subbed. But I butted in. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, like, he for me that year. I mean, I said we only finished 1 point behind Arsenal, but he probably got us 20 of those points. He was such a big factor for us for those last minute winners. So he's definitely, for me, goes down as my best ever player to play with.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. I wasn't expecting you to say that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was going to then jump to Liverpool 15-16 season, Henderson, Sturridge, and then Klopp. I think was it Klopp's first year? So
it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, everybody asking, what Klopp's like, but I think everybody knows what Klopp's like because he's so approachable, or comes across so approachable. So, as fans, when I looked at all those names, I was like, wow. But the other interesting thing was that they played with you as well. You were that good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'll not forget, your name is with those group of players as well. So how does it feel looking back?
Well, I never look at it like that. I've got to be honest with you. I never look at that they would sit back and think they played with Stephen Caulker. They may remember me off the pitch, as I've been known as a bit of a character, but I wouldn't put myself anywhere near the bracket that these guys performed that.
But don't put yourself
down. But there's a reality. I know
what you mean, but honestly, you share the pitch.
We shared the pitch and we shared the change room, and it was a great experience. And I do look back. I probably look back more today and feel prouder today than what I did at the time. I think at the time, a lot of it was all about the next game. It comes so thick and fast. There's a huge amount of pressure that just comes with being at that level, pressure that I put on myself. I think today I look back and reflect and go, wow, that was some journey, because that was, and what an incredible experience to play with some of the names we've just mentioned.
Yeah, I bet. And we've not touched on the mighty green army of Yeovil yet either, have we? So that being obviously just 5 miles away from where I live, tell me a little, if it's okay if you just kind of tell me a little bit about your time there, because I know people will be interested about you.
So Yeovil is and will always be, for me, one of my favourite clubs. It holds a special place in my heart. It's where I made my league debut. So I was fortunate enough to go there at the age of 17, along with Ryan Mason, John Obika, and Josh Townsend had been there the year before. So I think in that team, we also had Alex McCarthy, who's obviously gone on to play Premier League as well. I was working with Terry Skivington was a manager, and you had
Yeah,
Nathan
yeah.
Jones as player assistant, similar role to what I'm doing here in Iceland. And
Right,
I
okay.
just, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely
Did
loved it.
you?
Yeah, I loved it, and it was my first taste of real football. So at that level, at that time, players
Yeah.
weren't on mega money. People were fighting to pay their mortgages, and you knew about that. Trust me.
Did you? Did you?
They let you
Yeah.
know. Terry Skiven wasn't shy. Didn't
Oh,
shy
really?
away
Right, okay.
from telling you what was at stake.
Yeah.
And it was just a great experience to be in a dressing room where it just meant so much. You know, at youth team level, of course, you've got players wanting to be the best, wanting to make it pro, but it wasn't the same as what it was in the first team environment. And I'll say I'll forever be grateful to Yeovil for giving me the opportunity.
Okay. I didn't realize how young you were, like 17 again. So, coming from a parent's point of view, there you go. I mean, you're on 2.5 hours away from home, if not a little bit further. So I take it you had a place to stay, you ever put you up, or did you house share? Like 17-year-old me, geez, I put my washing in some bag, and it kind of got taken away and washed and hung up in my, that age for me. What was it
Yeah.
like at that age for you? Was that a big
So
learning curve?
yeah, it was a really big learning curve. Yeovil put us in the local hotel. I think it was called the Preston Hotel back then. It was like a B
Okay,
and
you were
B.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was in the B&B. So they had like a
Right.
separate cottage bit where me, John Beaker, and Ryan Mason all stayed. And
Oh, very
it
good time.
it was good. It was fun looking back, but it was also challenging. I mean, staying in a B&B for a year, it presents
I
its
was a
challenges.
year,
You
yeah,
mentioned the washing and all of that kind of things that, when you're at home, you've got your home comforts. You could do things how you want it. When you're just in a room, it was a little bit
yeah.
different, but
Nowhere to
it was
escape. Yeah.
exactly. But it was a great experience, and we really created a close bond, the three of us. We went to John Beaker's wedding a few years back, and
Okay.
it was just a sort of really great experience, both on and off the pitch. And I said I love that. I actually would recommend for any young player to go
Yeah.
out on loan, because you get those experiences, you get real life experiences, you get the challenges of having to live on your own, you get the challenges of having to be away from home, the
Right. Okay.
challenges of fighting for more than just a point. You're fighting for the bonuses, you're fighting for people's mortgages, and
Yeah.
just an
Yeah. Yeah.
overall great
Okay.
life experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Brilliant. Do you keep in? So you've already mentioned a wedding there. Do you keep in touch with any of the players across any of the teams you kind of play with?
Yeah, so a lot of the players, you'd remember Terrell Forbes. So Terrell Forbes as well
Uh,
was a centre half of Yeovil, is my centre half
yeah.
partner there.
Nice.
I also Sean McDonald, who was on loan, I believe, maybe from Swansea at the time, Welsh
Yeah.
magician in
Yeah.
midfield. So yeah, still in touch with a lot of the boys at Yeovil, and just football in general. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
players that, especially for me, the ones I'm probably closest with are the ones who I came through at Spurs, because I feel that was that initial bond where we're all there young, full of dreams and ambitions. And that's where
Yeah.
I guess you kind of get the closest to them. So, I was fortunate to be in a youth team with the likes of Andros Townsend, Ryan
Yeah.
Mason, who I've already mentioned, Danny Rose, Carl Walker,
Danny Rose. Yeah.
Harry Kane was a year below me. So I was fortunate to be in a really incredible youth team that produced so many players that went on to
Yeah.
have top
Yeah.
careers.
A golden era, isn't it? Really, golden era you were in, I think. And it's probably maybe my age. That's probably why to some extent. And look, we've not even so talk about. And look, I don't even know this can't even really comprehend with me. So the amount of times I've been in a garden growing up, kicking the ball against, no one would play football with me, kicking up against my back wall, running commentary, Peter Watts at the back post comes in, scores a header for him, that stuff you live as a child growing up, dreaming and visualizing all those kind of things. And all of a sudden you're scoring on your England debut.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that like?
Well, it was again a moment that I would say regrettably passed by quite quickly,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
it was in between. Well, I played Man City on the Sunday where I actually scored. There was just a blue patch, I think, in my career. I scored against Man City on the weekend. We then played
Right.
against Sweden on the Wednesday, and then
Yeah.
I picked up a slight knee injury, but I was hoping to have played against Arsenal on the Saturday. So
Right.
it was just such a crazy week where the England debut sort of came and went, and Wednesday night we're on the plane back, and my knee's all swollen up, and got to see the doctor
no.
first thing in the morning. He flew us out to Barcelona. We were trying to see a specialist over there in time to get fit for the game for Arsenal. And unfortunately, I never managed it. So I just want to give you that insight there that although, of course, it was a great experience scoring my debut, it just comes and goes by so quickly that it's more looking back now that I think, wow, I played for England. I scored for England. Steven Gerrard assisted my goal with a great free
it's
kick.
back post, wasn't it?
Back post, and I just had to just tap it in. So, just.
I don't know. I think you're on your. I think you kind of you double footed the ball almost. I mean, it was coming at a pace. So
I slid in. I wasn't going to let that moment pass. I saw the ball coming. I was onside. I'm sliding. I'm giving everything. That's why I got injured. So I slid into the goalkeeper's knee.
And did you know straight away? You're thinking, oh no. So I kind of
yes and no, because the adrenaline is so high at that point. You're not really feeling the pain. It was only, as I said, on the plane on the way home, where I could start to feel the swelling in my knee, that I started to feel, okay, this might be an issue. So, but as I said, it's one of those that great moment, of course, but very short lived. It's something that is a fantastic memory looking back. I love looking back and going, wow, what a moment.
I do hear that a lot from professional sports people where they're kind of advising people to say, embrace it, take it in for a minute, because maybe it does. You're right. It goes blink of an eye, bang. The celebrations are done. And you're on to the next game because the next game is coming so quickly, or there is an injury type of thing. So is that? Are you aware of that as a coach now, or in your coaching role, around when there's success in a team, to try and tell the lads to kind of, embrace this, take it in, capture that moment in your mind, because it could be so important, or something you want to come back to again? Or are you yourself going, I've been there, done it, I know how quick it is, but so you will remember it, let's crack on?
No, I try to tell them to embrace it, and then I catch myself in the mirror and think, are you embracing it, or are you thinking about the next game? So I'm good at talking the good game about what you should do, but I have to remind myself on many occasions that actually it's a moment for me too to enjoy. So my first win, for example, as assistant coach, enjoy it. What a moment. Great. That's your first ever win as an assistant coach. We'll never get that again, right? So stop and enjoy that moment. So it actually is a little bit harder as a coach, though, because you do have to prepare the team for the next game. So the moments are coming quick and fast. But my message to the players is enjoy it. Enjoy tonight. Go out with a family. However you enjoy spending your time.
Sure. Yeah.
Some players want to. The era of going out and drinking is not gone, but it's evolved, right? It's evolved. Most people now are wanting to be at home and whatever. So whatever you enjoy, go and do that. Take the night, and we'll speak again in the morning.
We'll reconvene again. Yeah, I love that. I'm gutted because we need to move on. We need to move on because this is all about transitions and retirement and next stage of lives. So if it's okay with you, we might have to do another podcast because there's so many other questions I'd love to kind of pick up on. But it's kind of the second stage, the reinvention to some extent of where you are now. And I'm pretty sure, listening to you talk before we started recording, but also picking up on some other stuff you said, that I'm sure there's going to be 3, 4, 5 stages, even 6. There's going to be lots of different reinventions that you may have to follow before you even get to kind of the 60-year-old self. But when did you first kind of thinking back about your career and where you are now, when did you first think about what comes? I wonder, it's not after football, is it? What comes after football? Actually, I suppose I should rephrase that. What comes after playing football? Because again, I take it you love the game and want to evolve in the game. Maybe not as a player now, but providing that support and your insight into things and developing other people. So when did it first come out for you that you might only start thinking about what you're going to do?
So it's a good question, to be honest with you, and I feel that firstly, I never wanted to be a coach. I'll be
Right.
honest.
Okay.
I never wanted to be a coach.
No.
Most people that I've played with, when they see me on LinkedIn or they see something on WhatsApp and they drop me a message like, "What? You're a coach?" Like, I thought
Really?
you,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I had a lot of moments where I didn't enjoy football. I'll be honest, where I just thought football isn't what I thought it was going to be,
Right. Sure.
and I often thought I don't want to be in football. So it was around the age of 29, I would say, where I
Okay.
started to think, actually, I think I might quite like to be a coach. And I'll share why. I've worked with a lot of good coaches, and I've worked with a lot of
Mm,
coaches that, in my opinion, could do things a lot better if they did them differently. And it's
sure.
just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is ultimately no right or wrong. Uh, but 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 holding that thought of, I believe I can do things better if I did them differently, was a form of motivation for me. And I just thought, starting with the communicating with your players, making them feel good.
Mm,
These are my strengths as a person. And I thought, if I can use those and learn the tactical side of the game, I think I have half a chance. And that's where it really started to stem for me, that actually, let's start to think about being a coach. And I
right.
immediately applied to take my coaching badges. And that was the beginning of life after playing.
Sure.
Okay,
Okay.
let's get
Yeah.
the licenses, and let's start to see what doors I could potentially push open.
And where was that? Was that when you were in a team? Those
I was,
badges and
yeah, I was in Turkey, so I was really fortunate that I
okay.
was able to do a lot of my stuff online. So I
Yeah.
made the
Oh,
phone
okay.
call. Yeah, so I made the phone call while I was in Turkey, came back to England with Wigan, did my B license, and then I was away again for my A license. So I was actually abroad for the whole year, but they
Okay.
was able to accommodate me online, which was fantastic. I put a lot of effort in,
Yeah.
and I had to get my sessions recorded in Turkey, and then we would then,
Okay. Upload them
excuse
to.
me, we would then upload them, and we'd jump on a call and run through them. So I was really fortunate that I had great staff that were very accommodating for what I needed, and I said I worked hard, and they worked hard, because if we didn't, it just wouldn't have
You wouldn't have.
passed. Yeah,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
have really struggled. So that was the moment. And to be honest with you, even though I've been working towards being a coach now for 3 years, I have looked at many different other pathways. So
Have you?
it's
Right.
been
Yeah.
it's been a really interesting transitional period for me, to be honest with
Oh,
you. So I've
okay.
done media work, I've done a lot of radio comms, I've done
Yeah.
all the different sides of radio work, so people just think it's one job. There's not about 5, 6 different jobs
I
within
bet.
the radio.
Yeah.
So I've tried them all.
Jesus.
uh I've done a bit of television, I've done public speaking, I've done where I've acted as a mentor. So I've gone into clubs, I've gone into the likes of Liverpool, worked with their academy as a mentor.
Wow.
um
Brilliant.
the list goes on. I've done a lot of
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and
You're like a
I've
sponge. You're like a sponge.
yeah, yeah,
And do you know what I mean? And I love it. That's how it's coming across. Do you know what I mean? And that you're
yeah,
not just focused on one area, like because all those little touches you have with people, or they touch you, you take a little bit and you learn from it, don't you?
yeah,
That's how people. My wife is always like, "Why are you listening to that? Well, that's got nothing to do with your job." And I'm like, "No, because I just want to learn from other people's perspectives or life
yeah.
stories, and you kind of, be a sponge, take it all in, and at some point you might cross someone that needs to hear something you've learned from somewhere else, or you might be able to twist it and use it for your own purpose." So, for me, I love that. I love that you're kind of testing the water, maybe, or just taking lots of opportunities just to see where you are, I suppose, and grow as a person. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Is that how is that right? Am I kind of hitting the nail on the head there, or is it a
Yeah,
little bit? I just
yeah, no, exactly that. And what you made a really interesting point there about seeing things from different perspectives. A lot of my experiences have given me that. So when you go and work in the radio, and I was working for BBC, and
yeah.
sharing really openly, it would get paid £120 for a whole day's work, right? And
Wow.
coming
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Premier League to then working for the BBC Radio, where I turned up to my first job. It was Derby versus Wigan. I said it was
Wow.
120 pounds for the day. It was a 4 hour drive up there, right? I've turned up and I've got a coat on, but bear in mind it's the first game of the season, right? So it's the summer.
Yeah.
It was absolutely freezing. It was pouring with rain. And we're outside. And I don't know why, because I mean, I might sound a little bit naive here, right? But I just thought that we're going to be in some press box.
Yeah, I would have thought the
reporting
same.
game.
Yeah.
No, we're outside. We're outside. And we're so close to the pitch that we're getting wet. The rain, we're not up high up in the stands.
You're not even sheltered.
Wet. Yeah, we're not sheltered. So we are getting soaked. I'm freezing. And it was we did an hour before the show. You do the whole match, and then you do an hour after the match, right? And just to give you an idea of what goes into that, you need to know all of the players' names for Wigan, all of the players' names,
be able to pronounce them as well
for Derby, be able to pronounce them. And I remember just driving home, right, thinking, oh my God, I don't think co-coms is for me. That is a tough living. If that's going to be my future, that's a tough living. And of course, you could progress and move forward, but it gave me a whole appreciation for these guys that have done it for years, and they're so skilled. The unsung heroes. They're so skilled. It's local radio, and they're giving you such fantastic insight. They know their stuff. They know their stuff. And so just on your point there of perspective, what an unbelievable perspective to see that side of it. To see that actually this is a pathway. So it isn't one that I necessarily want to go down, but it's still great to taste it, see it, feel it, and go, okay, maybe it's not for me. I did 5 more games, actually. I did 5 more games over the course of 6 months, because I never want to just dip your toe in and walk away. I always want to get a proper feel for it. And I loved it. And it then got me another job with BBC, which led to another job and another job. So if you don't start, you never know where it may take you.
Things happen for a reason sometimes, and I'm a great believer, but for me, again, kind of some counsel that I give to people, I get for myself, is that whatever moment in time you're in, and you might not understand why you're there, and it's not working for you, and it's not the thing you want to do, you might be able to pull on that experience in years down the line. Do you know what I mean? And that you can then pull back from that experience. And I mean, you're going to be, pretty humble guy. So, next time you come across that, radio broadcaster from, I know, BBC Somerset as an example, that he's cold, that he's been there for a couple of hours beforehand, and on the way down he's been learning all the players from the other side, so you kind of know there, and that's really good. The thing that made me chuckle inside though was another thing you forgot. You forgot your boots for Spurs, you know what I mean? And then you forget taking coats and raincoats and waterproofs, and you're a man like me, because I'm exactly the same. There'd be so many times I'll go somewhere and I've not fully prepared for this at all. I got a farmer client. I went to go and see a farmer, and I just rocked up and was like, I knew I'd done straight away, and I've got no welly boots.
Yeah,
I've got no welly boots, and I'm having to walk across his yard, with cow muck everywhere, and he just looked at me like, yeah, here we go. And I'm like, look, I'm really sorry. It's horrendous. I still can get the smell out of my car for weeks afterwards. But there we go. Yeah, are you okay for time? Are you okay for time with this? You sure?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So, captain of Sierra Leone, and player manager for Spain. I just want to understand where they were in your kind of your next steps, because you were Turkey. Qualifications, coaching badges, etc. I mean, going into those leadership roles must have, and the mentoring you mentioned must have been a key thing to you as well. Must be really, really important to you with your experience, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got the opportunity to go and play for Sierra Leone, it came out of the blue, to say the truth.
Did it?
I was, completely out of the blue. I'd always had a connection to the country through my granddad, and I mean, sadly, he'd passed before I really got to ask too many questions about what the country was about. But I wanted to do something in his memory, and I built a school and fundraised and stuff like that. So I always had a connection through that, and I did that early on in my career when I was at Cardiff. So I would have been only maybe 20, 22 at the time. So I was fairly young. So I'd had a connection for all those years, but the opportunity to go and play for them came out of the blue. And again, I just thought, what experience, what opportunity to go there. And it was an experience. It was a crazy experience. Really insane experience for me over the course of 3 years, where I I believed that I'd seen everything at that point. I'd gone, right, 5 years in Turkey, 3 years in Sierra Leone, or like
Yeah.
obviously in and out of the country. But I felt at that point, I've seen pretty much everything, and I think I am ready to retire. And I wanted to retire then. I'll be honest with you. I just,
Did you?
yeah, I wanted to retire. I walked away from
Did that come
football,
at the time you
really.
would like you didn't you you weren't enjoying it? You know, you'd seen the dark side of
Yeah,
football, so to speak. Yeah.
yeah. I wasn't enjoying it, and I was throwing a pity party in a way. I felt like, you know what, I'd been playing for maybe 15 years, and I was like, I haven't won anything. I've got a couple of relegations on
Ah,
my
okay, okay.
CV, or 3 relegations at that point actually. And I just, we kept missing out on qualifications for AFCON and for the World Cup, and I felt like the more I was giving, the less I was receiving, and I was throwing a pity party, and I just thought, you know what, I call it a pity party, but part of me was thinking, maybe I just need to look at other options. Okay, maybe I need to look at other options, and that's where I'd already been doing my badges, so I'd done well in that sense to half prepare
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
But I started to look for opportunities outside of playing, and Malaga City in Spain offered me the opportunity to come in as a head coach and player
Wow.
at the same time. So they were in the fifth division of Spain. It wasn't a straightforward decision because of the financial hit. So it would have been it
Oh,
was
okay.
such um, a
A
big
fool, was
difference
it?
from what
Yeah,
I'd been earning.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a difficult decision around that. But um, I've never been afraid of a challenge, so I thought, let's go for it, and that's kind of
Wow.
how it came around. And as I went to Spain and spent 3 months there before I had to return through visa issues. So
Right,
life had a
okay.
way of, I believe it does have a way of redirecting us to where we're meant to
Yeah,
be. But I
yeah.
had a really good short experience there.
Nice, nice. I want to touch on behind the white lines, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
And look, there may be people out there watching this, or many people that won't know what behind the white lines is. So, would you just mind kind of giving us a brief outline of what it is, why you started it, and kind of where you'd like it to be in maybe 3 years' time? You know.
Yeah, so Behind the White Lines is an aftercare academy that supports young players aged between 18 to 21 in 3 ways, really. Finding a new club for them if they've been released. So I
Okay.
believe, going back to the very beginning of this podcast, I believe that different coaches have different opinions. And just because one coach says no doesn't mean that you can't find another coach out there, whether it be the UK or abroad, that does
Yeah.
see value in your ability and does believe in you. So we firstly try to find them a new club, but simultaneously, we're also trying to help them find their identity, because more often than not, these players who've been in the academy system for up to 10, 15 years, some of them, if they're released at 21, some of them have been in the academy since the age of 6, and
Yeah.
football has been their identity within the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephen the footballer, your mom and
Yeah.
dad have made sacrifices, your family, everyone knows you as a footballer, and
Yeah.
you're associated with a certain club that no longer wants you. And that could be quite difficult. So simultaneously we work on supporting players in that, I suppose, you could potentially call it an identity crisis. So we
Yeah.
try to
Yeah. Yeah.
help support players through that period, whether they're having a crisis or not, it is irrelevant. We just try to offer them that support and
Sure.
build self-esteem. And a way in which we do that is, one, through mentoring and therapy sessions, but also just by showing them new pathways. So we
Yeah.
partner with banks, we partner with universities, and
Brilliant.
we're able to get players opportunities within these industries. So we're able to get
Yeah.
them taster days, we're able to get them, apprenticeships, all of these kind of things.
Oh,
So
that's amazing. Yeah, because they can be
yeah,
so isolated, can't they? You know,
it's a good word. It's a really
yeah,
good
yeah,
word.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I'm just saying they're alone, isolated, and it's like,
yeah.
and like I said, geez, and that's such a young age, losing your identity. I mean, it's hard enough when you talk about midlife crises, for someone to be so young and yeah, just wow, that's so powerful and so needed, isn't it? Sadly, it is needed, but thank God
It's needed.
you've done it.
It's
Yeah,
needed statistically. If you look statistically at the
yeah,
numbers,
right.
0.012% of young players go on to play in the Premier League.
Do they
So
really? Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
the dream that every young boy
Yeah.
and every young girl has it's an extremely
highly unlikely that they're going to
exactly
ever realise
exactly
it. Yeah.
that's just a reality. And of course, they can go and find other league clubs, etc. But there's still only 11 starting names on the team sheet plus the bench, right? So the numbers don't lie in that sense, and I just think that there can be more support, and there should be more support for players who are then released by clubs. They are let go, and as I said, either A, can you help find them a new club? B, can you help find them a new pathway? And C, which just either way is, can you help them through that transition process emotionally? Can you support them emotionally? So those are the three things we go after. And it's been good. It's been really nice to see young players go into new pathways, find jobs, help them with their CV. And you know, they might play part-time on a Saturday, but that's okay. They're feeling
if they
good
get their
about
enjoyment
themselves.
back.
Exactly.
And there'd be awesome players as well that, you know, and and do you know what, running my own business though, and kind of touching lots of different people from different backgrounds, you know, people that have played competitive sport, you know, whatever level, do you want them in your business? Do you know what I mean? You know, if they've been in there since 7, dropped at 15 or whatever, you know, they have been relentless. They've been dedicated. They've been pushing themselves. They have gone out of their comfort zones. Now, look at you at getting to, you know, 17, 18. You've already been to a couple of clubs, trials that have failed. You know, you've been traveling long distances, having to get to know people. These young girls and also boys have got so, I don't know what like maturity, I suppose, and a skill set that kids that have but you know, gone through the education system and done their Duke of Edinburgh and done their, you know, GCSEs and A-levels and then go to the world of work, you know, someone that's had that background of football, I would imagine are going to be heads and tails of people. So a credit to themselves and their family, but also that business would really benefit massively by that. So well done to those firms that have maybe caught on for that and are going to benefit massively. And well done for you. So where does it kind of go from here then? Is it set up now and it's solid, or, you know, is there other things you kind of want to achieve with it?
To be honest, it's really difficult to fund. Yeah, it's really difficult to fund.
Right.
So that's been our biggest stumbling block. So we managed to self-sustain it, you know, so we fund it ourselves. But at one point it will have to be self-sustainable where we're not putting our own money into it. So that's what we're busy working on at the moment is trying to achieve that goal. And, you know, as you know very well, when it comes to the transition period, as we've been talking about throughout this session, is the money changes from being a Premier League footballer to someone who works on BBC Radio, as I've just explained. So, you know, being able to fund these things is not easy. So that's kind of the next step for us, trying to make sure that we're able to maintain this opportunity for players and support, because I believe it's something that's absolutely necessary.
Oh, it's imperative. It's imperative, and it's something probably, I don't know the kind of regulators or the governing bodies and boards, but it's something they most definitely need to kind of pick up on, really, and maybe direct some money, some funding your way for sure. But good luck.
I hope they're listening.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if our catchment is that big, but if they are, then you need to pick up the phone straight away and get it sorted. And yeah, no, it needs to get out there, doesn't it? So if anybody does want to kind of start the motion of putting it out there for more funding and crowdfunding and all that kind of stuff, most definitely something I'll be willing to help and support and get the message out there more and more people and put some pressure on people to start putting some money where their mouths are. And again, industry is going to have the benefit of these people as well, you know. So I say industry, you know, the banking sector or any sector these girls and boys want to go into, it's for us to kind of put that into. So maybe there comes kind of business federation or someone like that could start kind of pulling the purse strings a little bit, but look, something for us to maybe catch up on the line and kind of see what else we can do. Do you mind if I kind of we move to jumping ahead or looking ahead, I suppose, if that's okay with you, because I could talk for England. What stage are you right now then, and what's next?
So for me right now, I am assistant coach here in Iceland. So I play alongside that. I'm in a unique role where, I mean, it's a thing of the past, really, being a player coach. But I've been fortunate to given this opportunity here in Iceland, and I feel that although it's a unique role and it can be challenging, I absolutely love it because it's given me my first taste of coaching. It's given me the first experience of putting on all these sessions and being involved on that side of it, and I'm still able to play and help the team. So it's kind of a killing two birds with one stone, if you like. And
Yeah.
I feel for me moving forward, the good thing is that I don't actually know my next steps. And the reason why I say that's a good thing is because I've spent my whole life going, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then after that, I'm going to do that. And life just has a fantastic way of slapping me in the face and going, just like it did in Spain. 3 months in,
No problem. You're right.
Brexit's going to put an end to that. You're not going to get a Spanish work visa, which at one point would have been very easy to get. You're not going to get that. You're heading back to playing football and so on and so on. So I feel life has a great way of doing that. So when I say it's a good place to be, it's a good place to be in the sense that I don't have any crazy expectations. I have an end goal in mind, which is 10 years' time to be in the Premier League. But if you ask me today how I'm going to get there, I have no idea. And I feel that's quite freeing. I just believe if I put the right work in, I do what I'm here to do, then doors will open when they're ready.
Without a doubt. Well, you've certainly got the experience already, haven't you, to some extent? And like you said, the unique role that you've got, the kind of player manager, player coach, is really unique and quite interesting, I suppose. So when you're playing, I mean, are you quite free? How, I suppose what I'm trying to think of your mindset, I suppose, is you're playing, is your mind kind of split in two places going, oh, this is how I want us to play? You know, I don't know if you want to play out from the back and it's going to be quick, or are you thinking, do you know what I mean? Like, how are you're playing and you're playing as a player and you need to get position. And at the same time, it might be trying to get a message above, or I don't know that you sit, I don't know, like, where's your mind split? Or is it, no, Pete, I'm 100% in player mode. There's guys that do that on the side. And we set out really well to begin with. Or are there occasions when you're going, I need to be a coach now, you know, and you reflect on your own kind of performance. You're smiling now, so
there's always moments where
is there?
I have to be a coach, always. So during training, that's like, I would say, even while I'm so I normally split the week. So I'll do the first 3 days of the week, I'll just coach. And then the other 3 days of the week, I will train/play, and then usually get obviously 1 day off. So that's what my week usually looks like. And during training, I'm basically I'm always a coach. Even when I'm playing, I'm still a coach. I'm still thinking about what our target is for this session, what our objectives are, what we're trying to get out of the session, what I want from this player, from that player, and that can be quite difficult because, of course, the standard of my play then drops because I'm focused on where he should be over there on the left and where he should be over there on the right. So that one's really challenging. In terms of the games, I'd say I do a probably better job of splitting it. So it's like I put myself as a player first in the games, and ultimately I need to do my job and I need to have that focus. But then with the addition of, okay, I'm also a coach. I know what the opposition are going to do because we spent a long time analysing them. I know what we should do because we've been working on it all week, and I can help the players on the pitch with certain bits. But there are some times, for example, the other day I nearly bit someone's head off, you know, in the middle of a game. Yeah, we're chasing the title right now. We've been on an unbelievable run of 8 games unbeaten. So we're chasing the title.
Wow. Really? Wow, that's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, there's 4 games left, and if we win all 4, we have a chance. So let's see what happens. But it's a high pressured game, and we're in the game, and I'm in the moment. And as I said, I put myself as a player first, and then one of the boys are like, "Where do I stand from this set piece?" And I was like, I won't repeat my exact words, but I was like, "What? We've worked on this all week. How do you meet up? It's up in the board. I don't know where I am. And I'm like, I don't know where you are. I don't know. He's like, but you do the set pieces. I'm like, I know. I can't remember.
But I'm in the zone.
Exactly. I'm in the zone. I can't remember where everybody is. Like, and of course, if I was a coach on the side, I would know where he should be. I actually do the set pieces. You know what I mean? So I know. But in that moment, I'm like, I've got a 6 foot plus guy here that I'm trying to mark. We're defending a lead. There's all sorts going on. I don't know where every player should be. So there's
Do you
those
reckon as soon as he
moments.
said it, he thought, oh, and realised that I've now gone. But, or he's hoping you'd just be able to say exactly where you'd be, you know.
He's thinking, should have asked him. That's what he's thinking at that point, should have asked him. But
Yeah.
they know after the game, I'm laughing with them. They know.
Yeah,
I just tell them,
no,
I'm
that's
like,
good.
Come on,
That's good.
come
Does it make you a
like,
better player? You know, with just mention around that tactical bit, you know, that you think how many coaches, you know, let's fast forward in 10 years' time, you're in the Premier League, you know, and, you know, you're seeing players going, like, you know where they need to be or where they should be doing, what they should be doing, like the roles, like who they should be picking up, etc. So is that helpful, Indy? Does that make you? I hope it would make you a better player. Because
I'll tell you where it does make me a better player. Actually, is not that side of it, because that side of it, I feel like our job is just to read the game. So that as especially the defender, most of our time is spent reading the game. Especially as you get older, you get slower, and you have to rely more on your experience to read the game. So I feel I've kind of always had that part of it. But I tell you where I really think it's made me a better player is understanding what goes on for the coaches. So I've spent a lot of my career just always questioning the coach. Why on earth are they doing this? Why are they doing that? With little understanding. Whereas now I've been a coach and I am a coach and I've done the coaching badges, I see it differently. And I've got so much more understanding and therefore compassion towards the coaches. So that in that sense, it really does make me a better player and an easier student, of course. So I wish I did my badges earlier for that reason. I wish I did the courses earlier, because it would have given me a different perspective. And I always, like we've spoken quite a lot about today, perspective. I always believe that having a different perspective is a good thing.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and that happens not just in football, that happens across the board, I'm sure, in business. I can remember being saying some silly things looking back, in team meetings, in sales meetings, and managers, and questioning all the time, and being taken to one side and being told, look, I've got to give a message, and you're quite vocal. You're a leader within the team, and by your energy and your persona and questioning it, it's not helping me get that message across. And you don't need to understand what that message is about, and because I'm getting paid to do the job, so can you just sometimes just be aware? And I tell you what, at that moment in time, I had to take on the ball because I respected my manager massively, and the amount of times I've had to say that in my leadership roles in the past, where pick out the biggest voice in the team, the one that drives energy, and just taking to one side before I've got a message to deliver. Go, you're not going to like this, or you are going to like it, but I need you. I need to do this, and it's something I learned from somebody else, and it really helped me lead teams further down the line and try and get people's buy-in. But that sounds as though it's quite a similar track, I suppose.
Absolutely.
And look, you've got loads of experience, Steve. Lots of little golden nuggets and all that kind of stuff. But how did, if it's okay with you, how did off the pitch challenges change the way you see life and your kind of reinvention? If you're happy to talk about those kind of things, I'd just love to pick up on that, because there are so many things that make us who we are today. Some really good. I mean, I remember saying years ago, and I'm going to get it wrong, but we're all like flowers. We need sunshine and also rain to grow. So rain being the bad times, sun being the good times. We need both to be able to become better people. So would you just mind kind of maybe touching on some of the challenges that may have changed the way you see things and why you've transitioned the way you have?
Yeah. So I have suffered all my life with addiction. I never knew that I had it until, I'd say 17, 18, while I was in Yeovil and sort of gambling away in the background. When I said I had it my whole life, when I was young, I was addicted to football, but I never knew that football was an addiction. It's okay, right, to be obsessed with playing football day and night. It seems okay. No one questions if you're doing something repeatedly, going to bed with a ball and just thinking about it over and over and over. It's in society, it seems that's okay. But when it becomes about a much smaller ball going around a roulette wheel, that's a problem. And socially, it's seen as a problem. And of course, financially, it hurts. It really, really hurts. So I struggled with that all my life. I went to rehab twice. I went to rehab at 19. I went to rehab at 24. I really struggled with the gambling, just to be able to accept that I couldn't win. The biggest battle was around acceptance, and I really struggled to accept that this game had me beat. It had me beat, and I come from a very modest upbringing, and
Sure.
people have often alluded to, oh yeah, it's because you're a Premier League footballer, you're earning so much money, you don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, no. Like, I lose
Nothing
a
to do
pound
with that.
and I want the pound back because I know that pound has value. And if it doesn't have value to me, it has value to my family. If it doesn't have value to them, it has value in Africa.
Sure.
And I certainly see the value in money. But with gambling, I had to accept that I was sick. And I had an illness, and it took me a long time to accept I had an illness, and
probably people around you as well. And I think society at the time, because how many was that, a decade ago? If not long, a little bit longer than that,
less. Less, yeah, no, because I wish I could say that it was plain sailing. It wasn't, even after coming out of rehab, I would have periods where I was clean, and then I would fall back into the trap where I was like, I want to get that money back. I want to get that money back. I can't believe I wasted all that money. I want to get that money back. And the real complex thing about gambling, and speaking on behalf of quite a lot of gambling addicts here, as I know a fair few, I've been in recovery for a long time, and a lot of it is we never spend the money on ourselves. So it's never, I want to win 10 million to buy a Bentley and 10 Rolexes and whatever else. It's always, I want to win this money so I can treat my family, or win this money and I could do this and give this. It's always comes from that place. And that's why I said use the word complex, because it's an addiction that made me a liar. It's an addiction that made me untrustworthy. It's an addiction that made me a liability. Shamefully, all of those things actually. And yet my intentions were always pure, but it didn't matter because the world would judge me by my actions. So having experienced that for large parts of my life, having lived with depression for best part of 10, 15 years now, I've lived with depression. I have to manage that on a daily basis.
Every day, new.
Every single day. So I take medication. I'm in the recovery program, which helps. So I have therapy as well alongside that.
Brilliant.
It's a daily reprieve. There's a lot of work that needs to go into keeping me well, and I feel a lot more at peace today, which is important, because I never had peace, whilst living in that madness. There was no peace because, as I said, as a gambling addict, there is no money you can win, right? Because when you lose, you chase more, and when you win, you chase more. So the peace just doesn't exist. So,
and we've linked it to family, we've linked it to love, we've linked it to doing good for others as well, haven't we? So there's that constant kind of gratification cycle.
All of it, and it just that cycle of chasing exhausted me. And when I eventually accepted that I say accepted as if it's past tense, I have to still accept it today. I have to still accept it, and it can be challenging at times. It comes to me and it's on me, right? And often, for the sake of work, we talk about things in past tense, but things are still present. Things are present, and I chose to speak about things presently, which takes a risk work-wise, but I prefer to give it that real insight, because we live in a world where, if we're, this podcast will be going out in the UK, where somebody's taking their life every 90 minutes. So this is real, whether it be through addiction, whether it be through depression, or whether it be for one of the other mental health causes. This is something very real, and it's something very personal to me and those around me. So I choose to share my experiences, and what it did do is it certainly humbled me. It absolutely humbled me. I've been on the floor with this addiction, and it using that word again, perspective, it certainly gave me a lot of perspective. And using a word, a positive, well, two words that I would use is emotional intelligence. It really helped with emotional intelligence. I would say it really gave me an understanding. I could go to training tomorrow and just feel that someone is down. It might sound strange to anyone listening, but the amount of times I just pull someone, "You okay? Why do you always ask me? How do you always know?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's something through those experiences that just stays with me. So that's kind of the shortest possible, briefest way of explaining my battles and challenges with mental health.
And I don't know I can't remember exactly what you said there, but One, there's far too many people that either take their own life or are struggling with mental health. And I've no doubt there will be one person that will listen to this and will just take a moment to go, he's talking to me, or they're going through something. And that's why I wanted to ask that question, I suppose, is that we can have just a very natural conversation. Lovely to hear about your wonderful, wonderful life. But by the way, that doesn't come without the bad times. And there are bad times. But look, you're still here. You're really gracious, really humble. And I love the fact that you're able to talk about it as well, because the more we can talk about it, the more people won't feel alone. And I touched on that this shall pass, or whatever saying it is, and tap someone on the shoulder at the weekend because I just something wasn't too right, and I was like, "You okay?" And they were like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And then I just sent them a message later on this evening, going, "Just checking you're still okay." And they were like, "How do you know?" And I was like, "I don't know nothing. I just want to check." And they're like they were worried because they were worried that they were displaying it to people. I was like, no, it's okay. Like, look, if you want to talk about something, if you need a shoulder, if you don't want me to say anything, you just need to blurt stuff out. Then I'm here for you. And I know lots of mates, guy mates, girl mates that will love to listen and to help friends and family. But that's why we need to talk about it. That's why we just need to talk about it. And for anybody that is, if they are listening to this and they don't know who to speak to, then by all means, chuck me a DM, chuck me a direct message, chuck me whatever, find me on any social media stuff, and kind of just go, I need a hand, and I'll most definitely, I might not know where you need to go, but I'll spend time trying to direct you on a place where you can get some solace and some help, because we all need that space from time to time. But for me, Stephen, it's just lovely to hear that that it's lovely to hear the fact that it's not done and dusted. Like, it's a constant battle, and it's a daily occurrence. But I think the word management is really important, isn't it? Around being aware of your own limitations, being aware of sometimes when you need to stop or when you need to take yourself out of a situation. It's that intelligence sometimes that lets us down from time to time, and you believe you're strong enough to be able to cope with certain things, and sometimes you're not. But for me, I just want to take that minute to say just thank you very much for touching on that. That was really lovely. I'm going to, if it's okay for you, kind of start moving this a little bit further in terms of the connect, because a lot of people are listening to my podcast around, although it's a fairly new venture for me, is around that kind of retirement. So I wanted to talk about fast forward to like 25 plus years and you're 60, fully retired. I don't know, hopefully you've had that. Well, I say fully retired at 60, you probably won't be. I don't know what the oldest coach would be, but you could be easily an international coach by this stage. But where would you kind of see yourself in, that long term down the line, 25 years? And I think I know the answer, but I'd be interested to know what your perspective on that would be.
For me, at that point, I would like to be financially stable and using my time to help people. So whether that be within football, whether that be outside of football, just want to help people with emotional and mental struggles. Really, I think that the world could do a bit more of it, and that would be an ideal place for me, because I'd probably want my next 20, 25 years to be in management. So that's the goal. And if I'm still chasing that ball at 65, then so be it. But if you're asking me today, I would like to be at peace with football, having fulfilled my potential, because that's a goal of mine, to fulfill my potential. I certainly didn't do that as a player, and I worked tirelessly to do that as a manager. So I would love to be there. And as I said, for me, if I'm financially stable at that point, if I make the right choices, obviously in terms of investments and property and so on and so on, then I would like to be using my time to support others and enjoying my time with family and friends, because it says a lot of time away, working away. So I would like to be able to, I look towards that retirement stage and think that's the stage there where I'd like to enjoy my time with loved ones.
Lovely. That's all. I mean, I was good. My other question, following from that, was what would your future 60-year-old self kind of whisper advice to you today? But I don't know if you had any thought about that in terms of, what advice you might get from a future self.
Just to enjoy the moment, because going back to that, embracing it, I can still as I said, get caught up in, the next game, and just embracing these little moments. So that would be, I kind of know when I get to 60, 65, I'll be telling
Brilliant.
myself, did you enjoy that moment in Iceland? Did you enjoy that one? Did you actually enjoy that one? So I hope when I do these podcasts, as I said, in 20, 25 years, and they go, what was it like when you managed in the Premier League? And I'll be able to tell you exactly what it was like then at that moment, rather than go, oh, on reflection, it was great. I want to enjoy that moment. So that's something that, as I said, I'm very mindful of.
I hear that. Mate, that's awesome. That's awesome. Last two. If you could, so a bit of fun. I kind of didn't know how this was going to go today, so I thought, let's just put some other kind of interesting questions in. But if you could go back and spend a day with 3 versions of yourself, okay, 15-year-old you, 21-year-old you, and now, what would you say to each?
Oof, good question. To the 15-year-old one, you throw me. It's a really good question. So,
well, I might be able to answer it to some extent. I look back. So I'll answer it for me. For me, I'd go back and go, you're going to be okay. Do you know what I mean? The world of my life of being at 15 was so different to what it is now. Probably thought of a girl every 5 seconds of the day. Do you know what I mean? And dreamt about silly things. But I think for me, I'd go like, do you know what? I wasn't great at school. I didn't really pass too many GCSEs. I really struggled. And I just go, look at me now. You running your own wealth management practice, look after 216 clients on a day-to-day basis. We're managing, £70 million worth of their private wealth. So, and I look after from, a 6-month-year-old baby who we've just put a little bit of money into a pension from nanny, to a 102-year-old, to multi-millionaires. So, and I go, Pete, 15, spotty, lanky, big ears. I'll go, you're going to be all right. Yeah, there's going to be, there is a life-threatening, you are going to hit rock bottom and you're going to be really worried and you might not be able to make it, but you do make it. And honestly, it just goes from strength to strength from there. So just keep your head down and you're going to be okay. I think that's what probably I'd say to my 15-year-old self. But by the way, you still got to work. Just as that's what I'd be worried about, like this kind of back to the future. If you heard you're going to be okay, the danger is, the reason why you're okay is because you put all the graft in. And it may be that you don't put the graft in. So did you think about what you say to your 21?
Because you've helped me there as well. Give me some ideas. So I would say at 15, I would tell myself to not burn any bridges, and tell myself that it's a small world that often comes around in circles. So that would be an important one for me, to tell my 15-year-old self that was quite hot-headed and made really irrational decisions. To my 21-year-old self, I would say, forgive yourself, because by 21, I was already beating myself up for the addiction and all of what I was losing. And I don't just mean money, I'm losing relationships and trust and all that alongside it. I would say forgive myself, because it's been many years trying to forgive myself, and I wish I did that earlier. And then was
21, man, 21. Do you know what I mean?
21,
some people don't have to deal with that until they're like older than me. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. I wish I could have let go of things younger. So that would be for me at 21. And then what was the other one? Myself, where I'd ask myself today.
Yeah.
Where today would literally be enjoy the moment, as we've spoken about. So that would be really important for me now, is to be present and to enjoy the moment.
Nice. Enjoying the moment, right? So on that, if you're in the moment now and you're able to have a dinner with 3 people from your journey, a manager, a teammate, or even maybe a doubter or a friend or someone that maybe people won't even know about, who would you invite?
My son, my mum, and my dad.
Love it.
To be honest,
love it.
Yeah, those would be the 3.
What, and who's cooking? Or are you out for a meal? What?
I love to cook. So
okay.
I'd put myself there. I would love to cook. Although I do love my mum's roast dinner.
Right.
So,
Okay. Okay.
it's
Well, if they're
just,
listening, you owe them. A meal to cook. You're in trouble now.
yeah, I love to cook. I love to cook. But I think, yeah, those three, because as I said, they've been on the journey and been affected by, the off the field stuff and the on the field stuff, being away from home for so
Yeah.
long. So those
Yeah.
three would be they'll be my dinner date.
Nice. Love that. I really, really love that. That's cool. That's cool. Look, I'm going to bring it to a close. Stephen, I just wanted to thank you so much for being so open today. It's been really brilliant to hear about how you've navigated the different stage of your career and life, and your England debut and playing around the world. I mean, geez, there's a whole range of other questions we could have talked about, a young self having to deal with all those different cultures and stuff. But for me, I think a lot of people can listen to things today and take out their own little golden nuggets of things, and it would resonate across not just the football world, but also ours. And for me, it goes back to that. I'm very used to talking to people in a structured, someone's worked for this company for 40 years and they're going to retire, and it's Pete, how do I look to retire, and what does it look like? And and I'm saying, well, start thinking about what you want retirement to look like. Whereas people like yourself, and you in particular, you've reinvented yourself God knows how many different times, and you still are, and you're learning, and you're like a sponge, and it's brilliant. I just really, really, really loved spending time with you today, and it's gone over what I was planning on to, but that shows hopefully how much that I've really enjoyed today. So look, thank you very, very much. Was that okay? Is there anything else you wanted to say, or
No, just obviously just finish off and say, like, you're more than welcome. Really enjoyed the chat as well. It's been a good chat. It's been good reflecting, and I've really enjoyed it. So it's been a pleasure.
So look, I just wanted to jump back on and thank Stephen again for joining me. I really thoroughly enjoyed my time with him, and hopefully that came across in our recording. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank you, our listeners as well. And if you enjoyed today's episode of Retirement Your Third Stage, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. It really helps us spread these important conversations. So look, until next time, keep moving forward in your own stage of life, whatever that may be. Take care.